Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you guys tuning in today. I'm talking about what's been going on inside the Xbox brand. There's been a lot of changes and seemingly a shift in strategy. We'll be taking a look at why they've pivoted, what this means for their business, and where they're headed in the future. We'll also be looking at why the hardcore community and other fans have seemingly pushed back on the initial changes around exclusivity, the subsequent closure of 4 studios, and if it's really been a negative for the brand.
We're on a mission from God.
If you like what you see here, please hit the like button and subscribe by tapping that bell. I'm aiming to create more of this content throughout the year, and it'll really help out the channel. So what's been the changes, and why has there been such a controversy amongst fans about the sudden announcements? Well, back in February 2024, rumors and leaks from the notable insiders such as Jez Gordon of Windows Central, Tom Warren of The Verge, Jeff Grubb of Giant Bomb, and John Clark of Xbox Era all began hearing rumors that many of Xbox's seminal titles would be going to PlayStation. Titles like Starfield, Gears of War, Halo, Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves, Grounded, and even I myself had received some news that a particular title had a PS port. Quite predictably, many of the fans did not react well to the news of these titles going third party, with many flat out not believing the notable insiders and directing their anger at the leakers online, shooting the messenger, so to speak. Whilst other Xbox fans realizing that all of these insiders have been reliable separately, and if they're all hearing the same information, there must be truth, and rightly directing their anger towards the company itself. Some longtime fans and ambassadors of the brand have in recent times gone as far as to switch sides to put their faith in PlayStation, whilst others have stayed staunch supporters of the brand. Some of those have leaned hard the other way, heaping fake positivity on the brand and calling anyone who dares to critique Xbox a fake fan. Some, including myself, call this toxic positivity. As fans, we should always hold the brands we invest in accountable for any mistakes they make, and it's with this feedback that corporate bodies should take on the fans' expectations, boundaries, and direction that help to inform their strategies moving forward. Unfortunately, this is not the norm in the video game industry, but real fans of the brand continue to try regardless. As I was scripting this video, news dropped again of another Xbox rake being stepped on. 4 studios in the Xbox-Microsoft stable received closure notices from Xbox, with Matt Booty, the usually quiet head of Xbox Studios, penning an email to staff, and I quote, "Today, I'm sharing changes we are making to our Bethesda and ZeniMax teams. These changes are grounded in prioritizing high-impact titles and further investing in Bethesda's portfolio of blockbuster games and beloved worlds which you have nurtured over the many decades. To double down on these franchises and to invest and build new ones requires us to look across the business to identify the opportunities that are best positioned for success. This reprioritization of titles and resources means a few teams will be realigned to the others, and some of our colleagues will be leaving us. Here are the changes going into effect. Arcane Austin. This studio will close, with some of the members joining other studios to work on projects across Bethesda. Arcane Austin has a history of making impactful, innovative games, and it is a pedigree that everyone should be proud of. Redfall's previous update will be its last as we end all development on the game. The game and its servers will remain online for players to enjoy, and we will provide make good offers to players who purchase the Hero DLC. Alpha Dog Studios. This studio will also close. We appreciate the team's creativity in bringing Doom to new players. Mighty Doom will be sunset on August 7, and we will be turning off the ability for players to make any purchases in the game. Tango Gameworks will also close. We are thankful for their contributions to Bethesda and players around the world. Hi-Fi Rush will continue to be available to players on the platforms it is today and Roundhouse Games. The team at Roundhouse Games will be joining ZeniMax Online Studios. Roundhouse has played a key role in many of our recent game launches, and bringing them into the ZeniMax Online Studios to work on Elder Scrolls Online will mean we can do even more to grow the world that millions of players will call home. With this consolidation of our Bethesda studio teams so that we can invest more deeply in our portfolio of games and new IP, A small number of roles across select Bethesda publishing and corporate teams will also be eliminated. Those whose roles will be impacted will be notified today, and we can ask you that you please treat your departing colleagues with respect and compassion. We will provide our full support to those who are impacted in today's notifications and through their transitions, including severance benefits informed by local laws. These changes are not a reflection of the creativity and skill of the talented individuals at these teams or the risks they took to try new things. I acknowledge that these changes are also disruptive to the various support teams across ZeniMax and Bethesda that bring our games to the market. We are making these tough decisions to create capacity to increase investment in other parts of our portfolio and focus on our priority games. Bethesda remains one of the key pillars of Xbox with a strong portfolio of amazing games and thriving communities. As we look to the future, there is an impressive lineup of games on the horizon. In 2024 alone, we have Starfield Shattered Space, Fallout 76, Skyline Valley, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, The Elder Scrolls Online, Golden Road, and as we align our plans and resources to best set ourselves up for success in this complex and changing industry, our teams across Arcane Leon, Bethesda Game Studios, ID Software, Machine Games, ZeniMax Online Studios, and Bethesda Publishing and corporate teams will be well positioned to build new IP, explore new game concepts, and expand our existing franchises. Close quote. So what does all this mean for Xbox? Is it all doom and gloom? Should we all be shifting over to PC before the hallowed halls of Microsoft catch fire? Or is this just a biannual shift in strategy we've become used to from the Xbox team, coupled with a gaming market that's in decline? What we're seeing from Xbox in recent times raises some questions around the past strategy they seem to be pivoting from. Rumors are swirling around Xbox's premier service, Game Pass, either being directly on the chopping block or undergoing a cut-down version, with day and date being a case-by-case, game-by-game table discussion. With this already happening amongst the community, you can bet this is on the table at the Xbox proper boardroom. It's quite possible we'll see a dialing back on the focus of Game Pass and services for their first-party offerings. That said, Call of Duty was seemingly confirmed by the president of Xbox, Sarah Bond, in an interview with Bloomberg, stating that, quote, "We know our core users love Game Pass. Game Pass is a gaming subscription. You get a whole portfolio of games. But importantly, you get every single one of the games we build day one in Game Pass. And with the quality and the breadth of those games has only been going up over time. And you're going to see some really big games going into Game Pass later this year." Close quote. We've seen this confirmed recently over Twitter by the Xbox official account, and obviously through Aaron Greenberg and other sources. And now we know 100% that this is a game that is going into Game Pass. She also went on to say, across the whole slate, you're going to see some really amazing things. Keeping that as something that is really special for Xbox players is central to us. Close quote. We've heard many promises over the course of the last 4 years, and whilst many of those promises have been kept, many also have not. It's important to understand that the first and foremost, Xbox is a business. If there's no significant movement either way within console sales or Game Pass subscriptions after Call of Duty drops within the service, we may see a different tune in the months to come. Xbox's leadership is likely under pressure from Microsoft proper to prove the utility of Game Pass, and Call of Duty may just be the litmus test that proves or disproves Game Pass. This is not to say that Game Pass will go away, but we may see a case-by-case shift in the first-party team as to what appears within the service if Call of Duty does not meet performance expectations and targets. This isn't the worst thing that can happen, but most likely and will definitely be a bridge too far for some. Xbox's hardware future has also been a point of concern for many Xbox fans since the fabled 4-game podcast announcement. Of course, if you believe that Xbox could be dropping exclusivity completely for the platform, it does bring the future of the hardware into question. Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer have addressed the concerns. Quote, "My focus has really been on engineering and building that next generation of hardware experience that really taps into the core of gamers' needs. Our focus on delivering the biggest leap ever, and that's about really thinking through every aspect of what that hardware and what that experience delivers with the core gamer in mind," close quote. But with the speed of which the strategy has seemingly pivoted, some are unconvinced, pointing out the series' statements about back and forward compatibility for the Xbox library proves the shift to PC. Quote, one of the decisions I made when I came in and became president of Xbox was to establish a team dedicated to game preservation and ensuring that the future generations, future iterations, you get to take those things with you. The next part of that is saying, okay, I get to bring those games with me. I'm invested in those games and I get an incredible high performance experience on my console, but also continuing our commitment to make sure that gamers can bring their games with them wherever they want to play. That my Xbox library is something that can go with me and that I can enjoy with others. Close quote. Whilst many will disagree with what I'm about to say, they do it without any of the background knowledge that I've managed to stumble across in recent months. Xbox is building a more Windows compatible machine. This means a shift in ethos and architecture. When we think about the hardware, we heard a rumor earlier in the year that had some truth to it. The Surface team are involved. The level of involvement is to ensure the next generation will be able to sideload Steam, Itch, Epic, and other game stores. This direction has many benefits, not all I can cover now, but not the least of which is an easier development arc, which will likely see developers build first for PC and Xbox as opposed to PS, which is what we've seen in recent years. The other benefit depends heavily on licensing, but having access to those libraries will mean no games will be skipping Xbox. That creates a choke point for Sony. If Xbox has access to the full Steam library, it does mean that PS exclusives will be on Xbox, meaning that PS will do one of three things. They'll either accept it, they'll go after the licensing, or they'll pull their games from all launches on PC. These are not attractive options to PS. And this will make PlayStation's exclusive strategy difficult to maintain and minimize its impact on Xbox. If the next generation goes the way it's planned, Xbox will have solidified itself as the biggest platform and publisher in the industry. They won't need to make their own consoles and can farm that out to Lenovo, Asus, and other hardware makers, but that's for another video. This brings us to the next section of the video, games. Xbox being one of, if not the largest publisher on the planet, means one thing for Xbox players: more games at a greater cadence. With over 40 plus studios and some of the world's largest franchises, Xbox is the best positioned company in gaming to weather the storm of uncertainty in the industry. There, of course, are management concerns, and rightly so, from the closure of Lionhead Studios after being forced to make a gas version of Fable back in 2016 to the recent Arcane Tango closures. It really doesn't seem as if any lessons have been learned in the handling of first-party studios. Another concern is the length of development time and cost that's been plaguing not just Xbox, but the entire industry, including Sony. AAA games can take up to 7 years to make, with some even ballooning out to a decade. The wait for games to hit the console has been too long. The Initiative, a studio built from the ground up and touted as the first ever quadruple A studio, and has been an example of difficulties of game development. Perfect Dark was announced in 2019, and little news about the actual game has come out of the studio, and what news there has not been good. Everwild from Rare, an AWOL game that has been radio silent since its announcement in 2019 as well. Undead Labs is another example of a studio that's been quiet on development, but news of development troubles with all these studios has cast a foreboding shadow on the Xbox management. Whilst there is over 40 studios working on multiple IPs, the output from first-party studios has been sparse, to put it mildly. As a gamer, I'd have expected all those games to come this year or at the latest next year, but with many of the remaining silent on the progression of development, there's no doubt they're still working out pipelines and problems. However, with all of that said, I personally still do have faith in the brand and the leadership that they can deliver on their many promises around quality, cadence releases, and just purely on the strength of their studio lineup. We're about to witness the beginning with Xbox recently dropping Hellblade 2, and I expect many more games to come soon. I'll be watching very closely the June showcase, and after that, for Xbox's next steps. Whilst there's no denying that some of the things I've talked about in this video are concerning, it certainly doesn't point to Xbox going away anytime soon. There's been a shift. Of that, there's no doubt. Many point to the bean counters at Microsoft's notoriously short-sighted outlook, and it looks from rumors and the outside that there is warring factions within the company. But I don't think as a fan, it's time to pack up shop. The hardware isn't going anywhere. The games are coming. As long as the Xbox leadership can play it smart with exclusivity in the future, and whilst currently uncertain, I still think the future looks bright for Xbox. That about wraps it up for this video. A lot happened during the making of this video, so it took a little while longer to put it together than I would have liked. If you like this content, please let me know by dropping a comment below. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe so you can catch me and my panel on the Infinite Podcast live 8 p.m. EST every Friday. And my next video, as I've got some great stuff planned, and I'll see you all in the next one.